Welcome back to our channel. Today we uncover the truth about why Grace Kelly's fairy tale was, in reality, a haunting horror story. Grace Kelly's life seemed like the ultimate fairy tale, a glamorous Hollywood star transformed into a real-life princess. But behind the glittering facade was a story far darker than the one the world believed. From a turbulent childhood to scandalous affairs and a royal marriage that came at a steep cost, Grace's journey was anything but the perfect dream. Grace Kelly's story begins in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where she was born Grace Patricia Kelly in November 1929. From the outside looking in, her childhood seemed like a dream come true, a life of luxury and privilege that many could only imagine. With a father who was a celebrated three-time Olympic gold medalist, and a mother who made waves as a respected women's physical education coach, the Kelly family was a shining example of success and prestige in their community. They lived in a world of high expectations, athleticism, and achievement, with little room for anything less than perfection. But behind the grand facade, Grace's life was far from perfect. Unlike her athletic and outgoing siblings, Grace was a sickly child, prone to illnesses that set her apart from her family's active lifestyle. Her quiet and introverted nature only deepened her sense of isolation as she struggled to find her place in a household that valued strength and vigor above all else. This sense of being an outsider became a defining part of Grace's early years. She was not the golden child her parents had envisioned. She was different, and that difference set her on a path she couldn't have foreseen. In the shadow of her parents' and siblings' achievements, Grace turned inward. She retreated into a rich and vivid imagination, where she could escape the constant pressure to conform. Here she was not just a sickly little girl overshadowed by her family. She was the star of her own story, a world where she could shine as brightly as she dared to dream. This inner world sparked an early interest in storytelling and drama, a passion that would eventually guide her to acting. However, this decision was anything but easy. Acting was not the kind of career her father had in mind for his daughter. To him, the theater was a realm of questionable morality, a step above street walking, as he so bluntly put it. Yet Grace was determined. If anything, her father's disapproval only strengthened her resolve. She saw acting not just as a career, but as a lifeline, a way to carve out an identity of her own, away from the expectations and judgments of her family. This determination, this quiet rebellion, became the first act of Grace's remarkable life story. It was the beginning of her transformation from the shy, overlooked daughter in a family of achievers to one of the most iconic figures of her time. Little did anyone know, the girl who once felt like an outsider in her own home was destined to captivate the entire world, leaving an indelible mark on both Hollywood and history itself. At just 20 years old, Grace Kelly underwent a stunning transformation. The shy, timid schoolgirl quickly blossomed into a striking leading lady, captivating audiences and industry insiders alike. As a sought-after model, she graced commercials with her elegance and charm, leaving a lasting impression. Even her childhood friends were left in awe, with one famously remarking, "My heavens, that's our Grace?" It was like watching a real-life Cinderella story unfold. But as enchanting as her rise seemed, it held no guarantee of a fairy tale ending. Despite her father's disdain, Grace pursued acting, attending the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Her Hollywood debut shocked those who knew her as a shy, introverted girl. While Grace Kelly is celebrated as one of Hollywood's most breathtaking actresses, she wasn't always seen as the belle of the ball. Growing up, her friends remembered her as the quiet girl who often wore headscarves and glasses, with her slender figure buried under oversized sweaters. To them, Grace was far from a great beauty, but everything changed when she made her screen debut. Seeing her radiant transformation, they could hardly believe their eyes. It was as if an entirely new Grace Kelly had emerged. She transformed into a glamorous star, embodying sophistication on screen. Early on, she stayed at the Barbizon Hotel for Women in Manhattan, meant to shield her from trouble, but Grace's rebellious streak shone through. She danced topless in the halls and began dating her theater professor, much to her parents' dismay. When Grace Kelly moved to New York to attend drama school, it marked the beginning of a striking transformation. She dedicated herself to perfecting her craft, paying particular attention to her voice. Through rigorous elocution training, she developed her iconic accent, subtly British, elegantly soft, and irresistibly refined. But it wasn't just her voice that turned heads. Grace took meticulous control of her image, and every time she stepped in front of the camera, she had the ability to leave audiences utterly spellbound. Grace Kelly wasn't just a talented actress, she was a master at crafting her on-screen persona. Early in her career, she recognized the power of image and worked tirelessly to cultivate what Hollywood dubbed the cool blonde sophistication. This carefully curated style, combining her reserved elegance with an underlying allure, set her apart from other actresses of her time. Directors and audiences alike were captivated by her ability to bring depth and complexity to seemingly simple roles. Whether playing a vulnerable wife in Dial M for Murder or an adventurous socialite in To Catch a Thief, Grace turned every character into a multi-dimensional figure, leaving a lasting impression on the silver screen. By the time Grace Kelly stepped onto the set of Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, her reputation had already made waves in Hollywood. This time, her leading man was none other than the legendary 46-year-old Jimmy Stewart. On paper, it seemed like the perfect pairing. Grace was drawn to older, charismatic men, and Stewart himself later admitted he had a soft spot for her. He even confessed everybody just sat around and waited for her to come in the morning so we could just look at her. But Grace never got the chance to work her charm on him. And there was one big reason why: Jimmy Stewart's wife, Gloria. Gloria wasn't about to let her husband become the next headline in Grace Kelly's long list of romantic escapades. Known for her vigilance, Gloria wasn't taking any chances. Every single day, she personally drove Stewart to the set, stayed to watch every take, and then drove him home. Talk about dedication. With Gloria's watchful eyes glued to the production, Grace's usual flirtations had no room to work. Stewart remained one of the few co-stars who managed to resist her allure, thanks in large part to his wife's unrelenting presence. But for Grace, it was just a minor bump in the road. Her next whirlwind romance wasn't far behind, because when it came to capturing hearts, she never stayed out of the game for long. Throughout her Hollywood years, Grace earned a reputation for messy love affairs. Grace's time at the Barbizon wasn't just marked by rebellious antics, it also saw the beginning of a passionate yet unsuitable romance. Her theater professor, Don Richardson, was not only her mentor, but also one of her biggest admirers. "The camera did more than love her," Richardson once said. "It was insane about her, just like I was." But despite his devotion, Richardson couldn't win over Grace's parents. When she brought him home to meet the family, the encounter ended disastrously, further cementing their disapproval of her choices. Besides, Grace's career took off with her role in High Noon, which also marked the beginning of her pattern of romantic entanglements with older, often married men. Her affair with Gary Cooper highlighted her tendency to seek fatherly figures in her relationships. Later, during Mogambo, her romance with Clark Gable scandalized her family and set Hollywood tongues wagging. Rumors of an on-set romance between Grace Kelly and Clark Gable began to swirl during the filming of Mogambo, and it didn't take long for Grace's mother to catch wind of them. Concerned for her daughter's reputation, she wasted no time and flew to Africa to chaperone her. But let's be honest, her efforts to stop the growing passion between Grace and Gable were futile. Grace never publicly admitted to the affair, but she did drop a cheeky hint that left little to the imagination. Reflecting on her time with Gable, she famously quipped, "What else is there to do if you're alone in a tent in Africa with Clark Gable?" That one-liner alone cemented their rumored romance in Hollywood legend. While Grace was utterly smitten with her mustachioed co-star, Gable didn't share the same intensity. The young actress, naive and hopelessly in love, assumed their romance would continue after the cameras stopped rolling. But as filming wrapped, reality hit hard. Gable had no intention of taking their fling beyond the set, leaving Grace heartbroken and disillusioned. Grace Kelly's Hollywood years were as dramatic off-screen as they were on it. Her romantic entanglements became the stuff of legend, painting her as a figure both adored and criticized. One of her most infamous relationships was with actor Ray Milland, whose affair with Grace set gossip columns ablaze and earned her the title of a homewrecker. But the scandal didn't stop there. Grace's affair with Bing Crosby raised eyebrows, and the whispers only grew louder when it came to light that, on the night of her Oscar win in 1954, she was entertaining none other than Marlon Brando. The revelation added a layer of intrigue to her public persona, leaving fans and critics alike fascinated by the glamorous starlet who seemingly lived life on her own terms. Despite the media frenzy, Grace's career never faltered. Her resilience and star power shone through the scandals, proving that she could weather even the stormiest of controversies. However, not all her relationships were fleeting flings or headline-grabbing affairs. Her romance with famed fashion designer Oleg Cassini offered a rare glimpse of stability in her turbulent love life. Cassini was smitten with Grace, but their relationship faced a formidable obstacle: her family's disapproval. The Kellys saw Cassini's Russian heritage and history of failed marriages as unsuitable for their golden girl. Under this pressure, Grace was forced to end the relationship. The heartbreak ran deep, especially when Grace discovered she was pregnant. In a desperate bid to avoid scandal, she underwent a secret abortion, a decision that left an indelible mark on her. Yet despite these personal struggles, Grace's image as Hollywood's golden girl never wavered. Her ability to maintain poise and elegance in the face of adversity only heightened her allure. Whether adored or judged, she captivated audiences and admirers alike, cementing her status as one of the most enigmatic stars of her time. Grace Kelly's life took a dramatic and fateful turn when she met Prince Rainier III of Monaco at the Cannes Film Festival. What started as a seemingly ordinary meeting quickly blossomed into a whirlwind romance that captured the world's imagination. Before Grace Kelly captured the heart of Prince Rainier, there was another Hollywood starlet who had her eye on the handsome royal. Marilyn Monroe, always full of wit and charm, reportedly learned from her friend Aristotle Onassis that Rainier was on the hunt for a bride. Though she wasn't seriously interested, Monroe couldn't resist making a cheeky remark. With her trademark confidence, she quipped, "Give me 2 days alone with him." But here's the twist. While Marilyn didn't pursue Rainier, she still managed to leave a memorable mark. On the day of Grace and Rainier's wedding, Monroe sent a telegram to Grace. The message was short, but telling. "I'm so happy you found a way out of this business." That one-liner says it all. Marilyn understood the price of fame and perhaps envied the escape Grace had found in royalty. Rainier, The dashing royal seeking both a bride and international recognition for his tiny principality found his perfect match in Grace, Hollywood royalty, with undeniable charm and poise. Their romance was straight out of a storybook, culminating in a royal wedding that was nothing short of a global sensation. Broadcast to over 30 million viewers, the event marked Grace's transition from beloved actress to real-life princess, promising glamour, prestige, and influence. Grace Kelly left the splendor of Monaco thoroughly impressed with its prince. Following their happy interlude, the two of them started a secret correspondence, and they grew closer and closer. Then it was time for the moment of truth. At Christmas, Grace invited Rainier to her parents' place. This is where she made the impression of a lifetime. Grace Kelly wowed Rainier with her down-to-earth personality. Beneath her sparkly exterior, she was humble and refined. He, in turn, was intelligent and charismatic, and of course a royal. If any man was going to impress her parents, Rainier was the golden ticket. After spending less than a full day with one another, the prince asked the eager actress for her hand in marriage. After a string of disappointing romances, Grace had finally brought home a man that delighted her social climbing family. Rainier was Roman Catholic, had never been married before, and was only 6 years older than Grace. It was a tailor-made fairy tale, but it came at a high price. Rainier was determined to distance his new wife from her Hollywood past. Almost immediately, he banned all screenings of her films in Monaco, effectively severing her connection to the career she adored. For Grace, acting wasn't just a job, it was her passion, her creative outlet, and her escape. Losing that part of her identity hit hard and left her battling waves of depression. Grace Kelly's final film, High Society, was a fitting farewell to her Hollywood career. In the movie, she portrayed a high-class debutante on the verge of marriage, a role that mirrored her real-life journey at the time. Throughout filming, Grace wore her dazzling 10.47-carat engagement ring, a subtle yet glamorous nod to her impending royal wedding. However, fans were heartbroken when Prince Rainier announced that High Society would be her last appearance on the big screen. But Grace's most iconic role wasn't in a movie. It was the one she took on as Princess Grace of Monaco. While Grace loved acting, she later confessed that she never enjoyed the relentless publicity that came with being a Hollywood star. Yet even that was nothing compared to the overwhelming royal attention she faced in the lead-up to her wedding and beyond. Nervous and under the gaze of the entire world, Grace stepped into a completely unfamiliar world, unaware of the challenges that awaited her. On her wedding day, Grace Kelly made fashion history. Her jaw-dropping gown featured 25 yards of silk taffeta, 100 yards of silk net, and intricate antique rose point lace. To complete the look, her veil was adorned with thousands of tiny pearls, each sewn by hand. This stunning ensemble set the standard for bridal fashion, even inspiring Kate Middleton's gown decades later. But not even the most exquisite dress could save the day from chaos. Grace and Rainier's wedding was nothing short of a media frenzy. Paparazzi swarmed the ceremony and massive crowds overwhelmed the couple, turning their special day into a stressful ordeal. The experience was so unpleasant that they avoided looking at their wedding photos for an entire year. After the whirlwind wedding, the newlyweds escaped to their honeymoon, hoping to begin their happily ever after. But for Grace, her new life felt more like the beginning of a nightmare. Rainier knew that his people would never fully embrace a movie star as their princess. To distance her from her Hollywood past, he banned all screenings of her films in Monaco, a devastating blow for Grace, whose love for acting was central to her identity. The loss of her creative outlet took a heavy toll, pushing Grace into depression. Her role as princess may have dazzled the public, but it often felt suffocating. Grace went from commanding the silver screen to navigating the rigid expectations of royal life, where perfection was demanded at all times. While her star power transformed Monaco into a global hotspot for tourism and elevated its cultural significance, Grace herself felt increasingly isolated. Trapped by protocol and the pressures of royal duties, she quietly longed for the freedom and independence she had left behind in Hollywood. Despite her glamorous public persona, Grace Kelly was known for her quiet acts of kindness. Late at night, after attending royal galas and diplomatic events, Grace would often slip away from the palace in simple clothing. Her destination? Local orphanages in Monaco. There, she spent hours reading stories to the children, sharing laughter, and leaving behind small gifts. These moments of connection were a way for Grace to escape the pressures of her royal title and find fulfillment on a personal level. Her staff, sworn to secrecy, would occasionally catch her returning just before dawn, her face glowing with the joy these visits brought her. Grace's commitment to helping others went far beyond her public image. Her efforts also extended to larger initiatives like organizing charity galas to fund healthcare and education programs in Monaco. For Grace, these moments of giving back provided a rare sense of fulfillment, allowing her to connect with the people of Monaco on a deeply personal level, away from the pressures of royal life. Grace found some joy in becoming a mother. She gave birth to Princess Caroline in 1957 and Prince Albert in 1958, milestones that seemed to anchor her to her new role. Photographed playing with her children in the palace gardens or attending their school events, these moments brought her a sense of fulfillment amidst the overwhelming demands of royal life. However, beneath the surface of her picture-perfect family, Grace faced mounting challenges in her marriage. Rainier, known for his reserved and sometimes cold demeanor, struggled to provide the emotional connection Grace so deeply craved. Whispers of his alleged affairs with Monaco's elite, combined with rumors of Grace's lingering ties to old flames in Hollywood, cast shadows over their seemingly perfect union. These unconfirmed scandals fueled speculation and added to Grace's growing sense of isolation. For someone who had thrived on creativity and independence, the constraints of palace life felt suffocating. Those closest to Grace noticed her sadness, a lingering reminder of the sacrifices she had made. A friend once remarked, "She gave up everything for the crown, but the crown didn't give her the same in return." It was a poignant reality that often left her wondering what might have been if she'd chosen a different path. Despite the strains, Grace maintained her composure in public, embodying the elegance and poise the world had come to expect of her. Yet, behind the scenes, she was torn between the duties of her royal role and the life of freedom and self-expression she had left behind. Her journey was not just a tale of romance and glamour, it was a story of sacrifice and resilience, revealing the woman behind the crown. This chapter of Grace Kelly's life is a poignant reminder that even the most glamorous roles come with unseen sacrifices. While she was adored as a royal and beloved as a mother, her journey was marked by challenges that revealed the human side of a woman the world had placed on a pedestal. By the 1960s, the shimmering facade of Grace Kelly's royal life began to show cracks. She endured a series of heartbreaking personal losses, starting with the death of her father, a man whose approval she had always sought, but rarely felt she had fully earned. Adding to her grief were multiple miscarriages, each one a painful reminder of how little control she had over her own life. These tragedies deepened Grace's sense of isolation and made her long for the freedom she once had. At times, She toyed with the idea of returning to the world of acting, the one place where she felt truly alive. But every glimmer of hope was extinguished by the unyielding expectations of royal duty. Her position as Princess of Monaco came with responsibilities that left no room for her creative passions. In 1981, during a chance meeting with the then 19-year-old Princess Diana, Grace opened up about her profound loneliness. The young bride, overwhelmed by the pressures of becoming royalty, found an unexpected confidant in Grace. But Grace's words to Diana were chilling. "Don't worry, dear. It'll only get worse." That somber warning painted a stark picture of her inner struggles, a reminder that the life of a princess was not as magical as it appeared. Grace Kelly's life came to a tragic and unexpected end in 1982, leaving an indelible mark on Hollywood, royalty, and the hearts of millions. On that fateful September day, Grace was driving through the winding, treacherous roads of Monaco with her youngest daughter, Stephanie. The narrow paths, notorious for their sharp curves and steep drops, had claimed lives before, but few could have predicted the tragedy that would unfold. Reports later revealed that Grace suffered a debilitating stroke behind the wheel, causing her to lose control of the vehicle. The car veered off the road and plunged over 100 feet down the mountainside, flipping and landing on its roof. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but the damage was catastrophic. Grace was critically injured, and while Stephanie miraculously survived, the young princess bore physical and emotional scars that would linger for years. Despite the efforts of doctors at the hospital, Grace Kelly succumbed to her injuries the following day, leaving her family and the world in stunned disbelief. Grace Kelly was buried in the royal family's vault following the funeral, which featured a eulogy by fellow actor James Stewart. I just love Grace Kelly, not because she was a princess, not because she was an actress, not because she was my friend, but because she was just about the nicest lady I ever met. Among those who attended her funeral were Cary Grant, Nancy Reagan, and Princess Diana. Despite their less-than-perfect marriage and Grace's prevailing unhappiness, Prince Rainier seemed completely broken after his wife's passing. He never truly recovered from the loss. He never remarried or loved another, and when he passed away in 2005, he was buried alongside her. Grace's death wasn't just a personal tragedy for Monaco's royal family. It marked the loss of a global icon. News of the accident spread rapidly, sparking an outpouring of grief from fans, friends, and admirers across the globe. Hollywood mourned the loss of one of its brightest stars, while Monaco grappled with the void left by its beloved princess. Her funeral, attended by dignitaries, celebrities, and thousands of mourners, became a somber testament to the profound impact she had on the world. The circumstances surrounding the accident only added to the heartbreak. Some speculated whether Grace had been overworked, stressed by the pressures of royal life, or if the stroke was a result of long-standing health issues. Others pointed to Monaco's perilous roads as the silent antagonist in a story that ended far too soon. For her daughter Stephanie, the accident was a turning point. She was not only a survivor, but also a witness to her mother's final moments, a burden that cast a long shadow over her young life. In remembering her mother's brutal end, Stephanie said, "Not only did I go through the horrible trauma of losing my mother at a very young age, but I was beside her at the moment of the accident. Nobody can imagine how much I've suffered and still suffer." Stephanie's struggle to come to terms with the tragedy became a painful reminder of how deeply Grace's absence was felt by those closest to her. Even in death, Grace Kelly's legacy remains as luminous as ever. Her poise, elegance, and unparalleled talent continue to captivate and inspire generations worldwide. For many, she wasn't just a princess or an actress. She was an icon who redefined what it meant to combine grace and strength. Fans from across the globe mourned her passing in 1982, leaving flowers, letters, and heartfelt tributes outside the royal palace in Monaco. Media outlets ran special segments commemorating her life with headlines like "The Loss of Hollywood's Princess" and "Grace Kelly, a timeless beauty gone too soon." Her contributions extended far beyond her remarkable body of work in film. Grace left behind a legacy rooted in charity, motherhood, and her ability to bridge two contrasting worlds, Hollywood and royalty. From inspiring fashion trends to championing causes close to her heart, Grace's influence transcended the screen and the palace walls. To this day, annual film retrospectives honor her cinematic achievements, and Monaco celebrates her philanthropic efforts through events that bear her name. Social media buzzes with posts from young women who admire her style, mothers who respect her devotion to family, and aspiring actors who draw courage from her journey. Grace's story is a poignant reminder that even the most dazzling lives can be touched by tragedy, yet her enduring influence ensures that she will never be forgotten. Her life, though filled with complexities, continues to shine as a beacon of elegance and resilience in a world that still adores its Hollywood princess. Grace Kelly's life was a tale of contrasts, one of beauty and grace, but also of heartbreak and sacrifice. Behind the public's adoration lay a woman battling loneliness, isolation, and the crushing expectations of royalty. Her tragic death sealed her legacy as both Hollywood royalty and Monaco's beloved princess. But perhaps her story serves as a sobering reminder that even the most dazzling fairy tales can hide shadows. What are your thoughts on Grace Kelly's complex life? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of iconic figures.